Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. In this video, I'm going to talk about different types of groups in Microsoft 365. What are those and how we can use all those groups on different use cases. Also, what are the different groups for what purpose of uses we can use and what type of group we should create instead of just creating any random type of group, right? So I'm going to simply show you on administrator portal, as well as going to show you how you can create those groups, as well as what are the different ways to manage those groups, right? So let's jump in. We are in here on the admin portal, right? And in this portal here, there's an option called teams and groups. Under teams and groups option, here you see bunch of option. There's the one option which we are going to look, which is active teams and groups. So once I move here, or once we click on it, we see a different options here at the top. By clicking on any of these, we are going to create a different group. So let's say I wanted to create a teams group where teams capabilities would be added, and he would be noticing that a teams group is going to look like this, so which has the steam status and the steam status icon, right? And without teams group is going to be simply a M365 group or Microsoft 365 group, but without teams capabilities at all. So let's jump on. I'll create a teams group first, and then I'll show you the difference there too. Let's say I'm going to create group one with teams. So I'm just giving it a name, but you can give it any meaningful name that's going to be very useful for identification as well as for right set of use cases, right? And then I'm going to add some users as a member to this group as well, and should be good. So here I'm going to give it a name or the email address. So you could give any email address, that doesn't matter, and it should be ready to use. Also, you have a privacy setting here. So you can set it up whichever privacy you wanted to set up, be it public or private, and basis on the requirement. So public is going to be something which is visible to across the tenant, across the organization, and anyone can join that group directly without notification or without asking for any requests or without asking for any permissions. But if you set it up private, then this group is not be visible to anyone. Instead, whoever wants to join, they have to request access in order to join that group, and then it will be available for them. So let's say someone requested to join this group, and that request goes to the owner of that group, and that owner has to approve it basis on the owner's decision whether that is approved or rejected. And then if approved, then that respective user or person would be joined to the group. If not, then simply reject the request. And then next, so here is the review and summary of the group creation. Here you see the email address and the privacy settings of the group, and you see other details like basic name and description, and who is the owner and who all are the member of this group. So once it is ready and you are ready to go, click add team. So it's going to simply create a group with teams capabilities, right? So that way, this is going to be creating a teams capability group. So now it is creating. All right, so this is created, and simply this is ready to use. So if I search it here, this should show up. So same teams group can be managed from Entra ID portal as well, but the complete management capability is not available there because it has only certain capabilities which can be managed by adding members and owners and all of those stuff, right? So this is another way to create a teams group. Also, you notice that this is type of Microsoft 365 group. So once you click on it, you will get this small pop-up where you can manage this group completely by changing basic information, email address, other info, and site info. So this group is Microsoft 365, so it has a Teams site or SharePoint site created in the backend, right? And also you see the membership management. Let's say add owners, members, site visitors, and then you have capability to add or create new channels as well as administrator. Let's say I wanted to add a channel from here, and I can simply set the channel whether private or standard or whatever it is, and then simply create a channel. So this is going to add another channel to this particular teams, right? And on top of that, we also have an option to manage the setting of this team, right? So from here we can manage the settings as well for email and privacy, as well as sensitivity labels if we have any, then Teams channel as well as Teams conversation, and external sharing, file sharing. So what level of file sharing we wanted to allow. So that way we can set up the external sharing capabilities, including in anyone new and existing guest, only people in your organization. So that means we have lot many options to make a decision here as well, right? And the channel conversations as well as channel notification settings and everything can be managed as well. At the top you see email address, open in Teams, view site, and delete. So if you wanted to delete, you can simply delete it from here as well, and then you can go to site directly, then open it in Teams, and you can also send an email to this Teams email address. So the Teams email address would be this one. So this is going to be the primary email address, and alias would be this one. So alias is also going to be the tenant default domain or vanity domain always, because we have certain primary domain here. So whatever the identity we are creating in the tenant, it is going to be created with that domain as a primary identity or primary domain, and then it's going to be created. So this is the one type of group, and I'm going to show you another group which is going to be simply without Teams group. So let's say I'm creating two without Teams. So this is going to be without Teams group. Let's say go ahead and add a owner from here to this group. So by creating this group, I can simply add people to this group and then add a few more members to it. So you can add as many members. I'm just adding few to show you the example here. And also you can give it an email address, and then you can set the privacy public or private. So I'll make it to private. And here is the option for me in order to whether I wanted to create a teams with this group or I don't want it. So I'm not going to create it. So I'm going to simply uncheck this box. And also you see, once I uncheck it, it is going to give me this another capability, which is a role assignment, which is going to simply say that allow admin roles to be assigned to this group. If I uncheck this, you can see it clearly here, and the settings will be permanent for this group because we cannot change it later. So later this group can also be considered as security group with this option in order to provide access as well as permissions on a particular group level, right? So that way we can do this as well. And yeah, for now I'm not going to do any of these two options. I'm going to simply click next and create this group. So perfect, so this group is created, and I'll show you this group here how it looks like. So perfect, this is showing up here, and you can see the group type as Microsoft 365. So now if I click it, and I can see a bunch of options, but now I won't be able to see any options related to Teams. at all, because this is only 365 group without teams. It doesn't have teams capabilities, including teams channels. But you see a little option here, it says add teams to it. So if I click on add teams, that means I can add teams to this group directly from here, and it is going to simply add teams to it, so that this becomes group with teams capabilities as well. And at the top I can manage the owners, members, site visitors for this, and then I have options for the settings to manage. So for email privacy, then sharing capabilities along with sensitivity labels. But I don't see the teams features or settings at all, because this doesn't have the teams capabilities at all. So this is another type of group, and I'll discard it. So from here you can see at the top bunch of options again to edit the name and description, edit email address, or delete a group if in case I don't want that to. So I'll discard this. And the next group type is going to be distribution list. So at the top here we see bunch of distribution list, and I'm going to create a brand new distribution list from here, and going to show DL101. So I'm just giving a name, but you can give it any meaningful name that's going to work for you or as per requirement. I'm going to add a owner to it. So the owner is also needed. So why it is needed? Because we should know who is the owner of this in order to take the responsibility of that DL and the flow, as well as the communication that is happening over it. And you can add the members of this DL. So this is again based on the need and requirement. And then you can give the email address. Also, there's very important option which says allow people outside of organization to send email to this distribution group. If we set it to, or if we check this box here, so this group or DL has authority, not authority, but the permissions to accept the emails from outside the organizations as well. So I'm not going to do that for now, but we can do that as well. And click next. Once you click next, you see all the summary of the group or the DL creation here. And once done, you can simply click on create. And this should be creating a group for now. So let's wait for it to create a group. Perfect. So this is created, and close it. So now this should be shown up here. So here you can see the type of distribution list, the email address, and type is a distribution list here. Sync status is cloud, because it's created in the cloud, so that means this is a pure cloud DL. And the next is security group, so which is also important in order to create and use the security group for our different purpose and different reasons. So now you see there are two different options, security group and mail enabled security group, right? So I'll give you a bit context about both of these two first, and then I'll create both of them. And you'll also see some differences in both of those groups, right? So first group is security group. Security group is something which we create for providing access level permissions on a permissions levels across the Microsoft 365. And by creating security group, we would have capabilities to provide a right set of permissions. For example, I wanted to assign licenses to number of users. I would be creating a license group, a separate security group with the license, right? And then I'll use that group for assigning licenses. Similarly, I would create a security group to assign SharePoint site permissions or group permissions or calendar permissions. So all of those kind of permissions would be used with a security group. So where this group doesn't have the mailbox at all, the group doesn't have collaboration capabilities like a 365 group, as it has all those capabilities, which has a mailbox, then the SharePoint site in the backend, as well as it has the calendar along with it. So all those are different capabilities with 365 group, but not with the security group at all. And the next is mail enabled security group. So with the mail enabled security group, this group is something similar to security group, but it has an additional capability, which is it has a mailing capability. It has a mailbox with it, and it can also use for sending and receiving email notifications in order to provide or get the email notifications simply from a particular sender or receiver, or all those kind of notifications from services. Or it also can be used for creating or providing permissions on a different services within 365 environment, or if you wanted to use it for system integrations as well. So this group is very useful, and it can be useful for different reasons, as I mentioned uh, in the groups section on security group side. So let's create both of these, and I'll create one. So I'll give it a SG1. I'll give it a simple name so that we can understand. Here we see, once we add a basic details, just to name to it, and then click next. So next is add role assignment. It says Azure AD roles can be assigned to this group. Here also we get the same option that we saw in 365 group, whether we can set it to yes as in checkbox, and if unchecked then no. So I'm not going to do that, and simply click next and then create a group. So only these are the few steps where we can simply create this group. And once that is done, we can simply search it here. Perfect. So here's the group that we have created, and you must have seen and noticed that it doesn't have the email address. It doesn't have the email capability at all. It has only name and type of security group. And once we created that, then we have capability to add owners and members to it. And then we can use this group for different permissions, as well as sharing capabilities, as well as access levels on or with this group. And the next group I'm going to create is mail enabled security group. So let's give it a name, SG mail enabled. So I'm going to create this one. So now you see there are a bunch of options at the left panel or left side, where we need to add owners and then members, and then some settings to it as well. So let's do that, and once we do it, it should be ready to go. Perfect. I have added owner member, and then I'm going to add email address. Also, you see here is also the similar option where we saw in the distribution list group, where it says that allow people outside of my organization to send email to this mail enabled security group. And this is very important feature or option when we wanted to receive emails to this security group in order to maybe get a service notifications or something like that, right? And whenever we are using this group in any of the service integrations with the different applications or different features, by integrating with the different applications, mostly in the business applications, right? And in that way, and in that case, we need to enable these options to get the email notifications, right? So I'm not going to do that for now, but this is very important to know and understand before doing that. Or it might happen that this group is, or this option is not enabled, and whatever we were expecting to handle or happen, that is not happening due to this option. And then once you come back here and see the setting of this particular group, then you will realize, oh, this was missing and we need to make this change, something like that. So let's click next, and once we go further, we can see details about the group, and we can see the summary, and then once we done we can create a group. So the group is being created. Meantime, perfect, this group is created, and then perfect, now I can simply search it here. And now you see the difference, it has email address with it, as well as the type is mail enabled security group. Then status is cloud sync, others cloud, as it's pure into cloud. And then membership type is assigned, and then created date time. Right, so yeah, that's all from 365 admin center for groups. And there are other capabilities or other ways to manage these groups as well. So I'm going to show you under Entra ID, which is Microsoft Azure AD, and now it is rebranded to Entra ID. So we can see all those groups from here as well. So let's say just G1. So here's the SG1 group, which is security group that we have created, and then this mail enabled security group as well. So here you see the difference in both. The group type is different, which is security and mail enabled security group. The membership type is assigned, and then security group doesn't have email address, but mail enabled security group has email address attached to it, right? And then the name that we have given here. And also we'll see other groups which we have created, which is group 1, and with teams and without teams, right? So here are those groups, which is with the teams, this one. And we should see without teams as well. I think I've given a different name, let me. Perfect, so here's that another group which is without teams, right? So that way we can see that group and manage as well. So we have very less management capabilities here, uh, from the admin side. Less as in we can go to properties and change the name, as well as change the description and change the type assigned to dynamic user, and then take it further. Also we can add members, owners, roles, and administrators to it. Then we can also add or add this group to assign this group to administrative units. Then group memberships, as well as applications with it. If any applications are assigned, then as a role assignment. So that's the different part altogether. I'm going to take it further with the different videos later. And yeah, so this is how we can create groups and manage it. And also I'm going to show you, yeah, so these are the security groups we saw. And another option to manage and see those groups is Exchange Admin Center from here. So once you go to access at Exchange Admin Center, you will see those groups here and can be managed as well. So there are some settings. Those settings are available only from Exchange side and not from the main admin portal or Enter ID portal. So let's say SG1, and we will see those groups here. Oh, that is not showing up yet. So let's go to distribution list. Let's say DL101. So here's the DL that we have created, and then we can see the details about it. Also we can go to members and add members owners to it, as well as we have some settings to manage for specific to DLs from admin center. So which has general settings, and then delivery management, as well as manage delegates, manage message approval, and membership approvals. So all of these are the different options that we can manage for DLs. Along with that, we have mail enabled security groups that we can see from here, and we can go ahead and this one. So this is the mail enabled security group that we have created. We can see the basic information, email address, role assignments, and date and time of creation, then the members and owners of this group, and then some settings of it. So we can manage the settings for this group as well, right? So this group is similar to a DL or a 365 group where we can manage some settings to it. And you notice there is dynamic distribution list, so which is kind of dynamic group, and this group is going to be or it has some filters we can create and use it basis on the different filters. So I'm going to create a separate video on that, as it needs more options and it's going to take some time to give the details, right? So let's go back here on 365 group, and then I will show you. It should show up here, but it is not showing up, so maybe it is not yet synchronized fully because we just created it before 5, I think 5 to 7 minutes max. Right. All right, so that's all for this video. Please do like, share, and subscribe. And thanks for watching. Bye for now.